When I'm talking to customers about RED cameras for the first time, something I hear a lot of is people concerned over the data rate that would come along with 8K recording. Most people, after all, have only just got used to 4K and how much media and computing power that they need for 4K compared to 1080p. So if you mention recording 8K, 16-bit RAW files, people understandably have visions of just completely unmanageable data rates and difficult workflows. But in reality, RED's R3D codec actually can make 8K 16-bit RAW files more manageable than some of the other high-quality codec options that you might be familiar with. Not all formats are created equal, and one thing RED's RAW codec, Redcode, is very good at is compression. RED gives you precise control over how compressed you want your data rate to be, with this sliding scale from 2:1 to 22:1. And this is the key element of RED cameras that made 4K capture possible all those years ago with the RED 1 and makes 8K capture practical now with their current cameras. It means you can choose the compression level that makes sense for your current project. So if you're working on a feature with a decent budget, you can keep it nice and low, nice and good quality, nice big file sizes. And then the next day, if you've got a low budget corporate shoot going straight to social media, you can whack that compression ratio much higher and save storage space for really small file sizes. And remember that all of this still remains a 16-bit RAW, even at those higher compression ratios. But what difference does this actually make in the real world? Well, we've put together a whole list of popular high-end recording formats from most of the major camera platforms out there, which you can read over in the blog post on our website with the link in the description. But let's start with RED's flagship, the Monstro sensor in 8K full format. At 2:1, so the minimum compression option available, the Monstro will record in a huge 5 gigabits a second data rate, which will mean 25 minutes on a 960 gigabyte card. Now this is often what people have in their heads when they think of 8K recording. But the reality is that very few RED users actually use this minimum compression ratio, even at the highest level of work, because to be honest, the quality difference is so small that there isn't really much need to. If you go down to 5:1 compression, you're at 2 gigabits a second, and at 8:1, you're at 1.3 gigabits a second, which gives you 1 hour and 40 minutes on that same 960 gigabyte card. 8:1 is a very important and relevant ratio as well, as this is the maximum compression level that Netflix let people use for their own commissioned work, as the quality difference between 2:1 and 8:1, to be honest, is minimal. While above 8:1, you might start seeing some artifacts, especially in those noisier areas of the image because of that higher compression. As a result of this, you find most Netflix shows are shot at around 5:1 or 8:1 compression because that's the maximum that Netflix will allow them to do, which on the Monstro sensor in 8K is 1.3 gigabits a second. Now let's look at how that compares to the competition for RED. I won't go over the full list, of course, as that would take forever, but let's pick out some highlights. ARRI have their own RAW format, ARRI RAW, and this has two variants. The minimally compressed one, which on the Alexa Mini LF in 4.5K mode gives you a massive 4 gigabits a second, and their higher compressed RAW format, ARRI RAW HDE, which will give you 2.4 gigabits a second on the Mini LF in 4.5K. So the 8K RAW files from the RED at 8:1 anyway are actually smaller significantly than the 4.5K RAW files from ARRI. If we now look at Canon, on the C500 Mark II, the 5.9K Canon RAW Lite comes in at 1.8 gigabits a second, and on the C200 it's 4K at 1 gigabit a second. So now we have a RAW format that is smaller than that 8K 8:1 compression option on the RED Monstro, but it's 12-bit 4K, not 16-bit 8K. And remember, of course, that 4K is a quarter of the resolution of 8K, not half, it's a quarter. On the Sony Venice, they have XOCN as the most common RAW format, and this is 3 levels of compression. But even the heaviest one, XOCN LT for light, comes in at 1.5 gigabits a second for 6K OpenGate files. Once again higher than that 1.3 gigabits a second 8K RED file at 8:1. So what if you don't want to use RAW? Perhaps you like ProRes files for their simple workflow. Well, the workflow is nice and simple. I love ProRes, but the data rates don't actually go down. 4.5K ProRes XQ on the Alexa Mini LF is 3 gigabits a second, and in ProRes HQ it's 1.3 gigabits a second. And that's the same data rate as the 8K 8:1 RED files for 4.5K ProRes HQ, not even XQ, HQ. And if you go down to the regular Alexa Mini, so a Super 35mm sensor, 2.8K ProRes XQ is 1.4 gigabits a second, and 2.8K ProRes HQ comes in at 608 megabits a second. So that's now much smaller, under half the size of the 8K RAW files from the Monstro. But if we bring the 5K files from the Gemini Red Super 35mm sensor, so that we keep the sensor sizes the same to play fairly, at 8:1 at 5K, that comes in at 498 megabits a second. So that's way smaller actually than the 2.8K ProRes HQ files from the Alexa Mini for 5K 16-bit RAW. Now there's more to the picture than data rates, of course. This is a bit of an oversimplistic view, but I do think this demonstrates what to me is the best feature from Red's Redcode format. It's a very flexible system, which means you can use these high resolutions and the advantages of RAW recording no matter what project you happen to be working on at the time. To look at that complete list of popular record formats, follow the link to our website and the blog post in the description of this video. And if you are looking at buying a RED for your own work, please don't hesitate to get in touch with the team here at ProAV or head over to the website proav.co.uk. And of course, we sell all those other cameras mentioned too. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.